Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to GNAT-TV's Facebook Live, News Project Live on GNAT's Facebook page. Uh, my name is Andrew McKeever. I'm the news director at GNAT-TV's News Project, and it's a pleasure to have you with us again today on Friday, October 8th. Looks like we have a very nice weekend ahead of us. Fall foliage colors are certainly starting to break out after a bit of a late start. I suppose that's due to the rainy weather we had earlier this summer, but in any event, the colors have certainly arrived just in time for Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday. Hope you have the day off or a holiday coming up to look forward to. Lots of traffic in town as well. Sure indicator that it's October in Vermont. So all good. And let's get to a couple of the headline stories that we've been following as we've gone through this week. Big one is a follow-up to our lead story last week, which is that the chairman of the board of trustees at Long Trail School has going to be stepping down on January 1st. That was one of the main demands a group of faculty and parents had on their concerns about the school's governance and perceived lack of transparency from the school's administration. That means that a planned teacher walkout that had been scheduled for October 15th and perhaps on the 18th as well has now been called off. The move came after the offer by the board chair to step down came after a majority of the school's faculty and staff planned to hold what they called a student education on the campus day if the board didn't meet the group's demand. And the main one, well, they have a list of demands, but the main one was the board chair, John Moser's resignation. Now, instead, on October 15th, they will hold a Celebrate Long Trail School Day where students, faculty, parents, trustees, alumni, community members can meet on the campus and play some games, do some arts and crafts, have some fun, and share a meal as the announcement goes. So that, I guess, at least brings that chapter to an end. It had begun, well, I guess depending on your perspective, either several years ago or more recently on September 20th when a meeting was held at the Wilburton Inn where about 50 or 60 folks expressed some concerns about the school's leadership. That led to at least one, perhaps two in-house discussions, moderated discussions between the various parties, and led to the announcement that came out earlier this week. So we'll continue to follow that as it goes along. The story obviously is not yet over. The Long Trail community clearly has some conversations yet to come. But at least the immediate crisis, if we could call it that, that might have led to a walkout by the faculty later this month seems to have been averted for now. And we'll continue to follow that as it goes along. Turning to the week's COVID numbers, some less than wonderful news this week. Yesterday, the Department of Health reported that had been 287 new COVID-19 cases, and that would have been the second highest total since the start of the pandemic. The highest number had been reached on September 15th when the department reported that there had been 330 cases, but that may have been artificially inflated due to a technical glitch. So it's possible that the 287 number reported yesterday might be the highest since March of 2020. Today's numbers just recently posted on the Department of Health's website is also not much of an improvement, 283 cases. 32 folks in the hospital, 7 in the ICU, and 332 deaths. That looks to be, I haven't confirmed this yet, but that looks to be an increase of about four new deaths since yesterday, when there had been 328 announced. So let's check on that. But in any event, it looks like there were at least a couple of Vermonters that we've lost overnight. Let's see. So that those numbers up in the 280 is to follow a 10-day stretch during which case counts had been dropping. Actually, it comes as a bit of a change of pace from what we had been seeing over the past couple of weeks. The 7-day average had been around 180 cases per day, but we seem to be bumping back up again. Looking more locally, here in Bennington County, of the 283 new cases announced today on the website, the health department's website, Bennington County has 14 of them. There have been 144 in the county over the past 2 weeks. Over in Windham County, 19 new cases, 140 over the past 2 weeks. And up in Rutland County, 36 new cases, total 377 new cases over the past 2 weeks. So Rutland County remains a hotspot around the state. Not the highest county in the state. That that uh, that still belongs to Chittenden County, but that, of course, is due to the much higher population there. Sort of in conjunction with that, the Department of Education has announced last week that they're going to be introducing some new testing programs to support in-person learning during the school year to try and keep as many students in school as possible, as opposed to sending them home to quarantine. Um, New test kits will be distributed to be used at home for our folks to give a quick answer as to whether or not someone is COVID positive or negative. These would be the antigen tests we've heard a bit about uh, over the past year or so. And again, the goal is to try and keep kids in school as much as possible and to simplify contact tracing and reduce the overall burden on schools. Um, the test to stay rapid antigen test will be given both to asymptomatic students or staff identified as in close contact with confirmed positive student or staff members. You'll be able to take a rapid result antigen test before starting school each day for the quarantine period. With a negative rapid test result, a student or staff member can attend the school, and the test to stay program is intended for use when a student or staff member has been exposed in school to a COVID-19 case. The state will provide the test kits, which will typically return results within 15 to 20 minutes. And so they're also saying that it's important to note that vaccinated close contacts do not need to quarantine and therefore do not need to participate in the test to stay program. While these tests are intended for at-home use, they can also be self-administered by an individual or their family at any location. That could be the school's parking lot. Locally, the test kits have not yet arrived yet for local BRSU schools, but we'll be following that along too. There's a memo that's been posted on the Department of Education's website that those of you who want to read this in detail, it's a 4-page memo there, very easy to find, and you can read the full memo on their website to get all the particulars about several different scenarios they discuss. Turning back more locally, over in Londonderry, folks held actually 2 meetings yesterday, one by Zoom and one in person later in the evening, on a project they've got underway there to try and help revitalize the Main Street in Londonderry's North Village. That's the stretch that kind of runs around on Route 100 in front of the Village Market there, at the corner of Route 11, and continues along the Main Street to where Route 100 branches off again and heads north to take you to Weston if you're heading up that way. So there's been a concern that the main street there could use a little revitalization, is the term that was used yesterday. And they've brought in a group of consultants from Stevens and Company, a Brattleboro-based consulting and engineering firm, to help them guide them through that process. Very interesting discussion yesterday. We were able to attend that. We will have a segment out about it probably next week. You can find that on our website at GNAT-TV.org or on one of our three channels, 1074, 1084, and 1094. And anyway, a lot of great ideas were discussed during that evening session. How to better utilize some of the underused buildings along the main street, and maybe make the main street a little more walkable or pedestrian friendly. Maybe try and utilize some of the waterways that flow through town, the West River and Utley Brook. Maybe create some pathways along there. Whether or not how the town might be able to exploit the fact that Jake Burton started his snowboarding business in a garage in Londonderry, right on Main Street. Perhaps a museum of some sort might be a good idea to help attract more visitors. So there'll be more meetings to come on that, and we'll be following that interesting initiative along as well as we go forward. Also up in Londonderry, on October 20th, the vote on the cannabis question that was supposed to be held last month in September, it was derailed by a snafu on the warning of the vote. The newspaper announcement wasn't included in the various ways they were publicizing it. That forced a postponement of the meeting to October 20th. Polls will be open at 7 a.m. at the town office in South Londonderry. And there'll be three articles there for folks to weigh in on. One being, should the town authorize cannabis retailers in town pursuing to the state law? And also related to that, integrated licensees, as the expression goes. And also whether or not the town should authorize the assessment of a 1% local option tax on sales, the proceeds of which would be applied to general fund revenue to reduce municipal property taxes. So the Londonderry Select Board will be holding an information hearing on those on these articles in the warning on October 13th. That's next Wednesday. It'll start at 6 o'clock at the town hall on Middletown Road in South Londonderry. So all folks who they had a couple, one in August, one in early September, on the subject, but they'll be reviewing all that information again for those who want to get the update on that. And again, the vote itself will be on October 20th. Polls will be open, let's see here, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and voting will be taking place at the town offices, not far from that town hall where the information meeting will be held. And early voting is also possible for those who want to either mail in a ballot or vote, don't want to wait until October 20th to vote. Also coming up next week, again on Wednesday, October 13th, will be a day-long summit on housing, be held in Arlington. Building housing for low and moderate income Vermonters in your community. How do you get it done? That's the question that those attending that meeting will tackle. It's being organized and sponsored by our two local state representatives here in the Bennington 4 district. Includes Manchester, Arlington, Sandgate, and most of Sunderland, or part of Sunderland anyway. Representatives Seth Bongartz and Kathleen James have put together this workshop, and they have some major players in the housing business in Vermont coming to talk and presumably listen to what other folks they're attending have to say. Josh Hanford, the Commissioner of the Vermont Department of Housing and Community Development, will be there, along with Gus Seelig, who is the Executive Director of the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, representatives from the Vermont Housing Finance Agency, the Bennington County Regional Commission, Shires Housing, and town representatives from Manchester and Arlington. It's an all-day workshop. It'll be held, I believe, from 9 to 3 p.m. Excuse me, 9 to 3:30 p.m. at the Arlington Common. That's the former Catholic Church on Route 7A, just as you're heading into Arlington, if you're coming south from Manchester. The registration fee is $15. That includes a lunch. And you can go on their website or any one of the websites there. I was looking at the Housing Finance Agency's website there. They have a link to register for the event if you're interested in it. So it's an all-day workshop open to anyone interested in expanding housing opportunities across Vermont. So, very important topic. Obviously, it's coming up a lot in many conversations we've been attending. Housing is particularly affordable and low-cost housing. Workforce housing is a big issue currently. Just as one last note on that, if you have an event that you'd like to help get the word out on or spread the word, you can send an email to events@gnat-tv.org. We have a new events page up and running, and a lot of folks have been posting their events there, so get in on the action. You can also find, before I leave, just wanted to mention that in our comments section, you can find additional links to some of the stories we've been discussing here. And again, many of these stories are already up or information about posted to our website, gnat-tv.org. Well, that'll do it for us for today. Again, hope you have a great weekend coming up. The weather looks beautiful this afternoon at least, and supposedly pretty good tomorrow too. So have a good one. I'm Andrew McKeever, News Director at GNAT-TV's News Project. Great being with you today, and we'll see you again next Friday. Meanwhile, have a great day.